Yeah, it's so well done, Tom. Appreciate that. And there's a lot here with Pete. Obviously, we were teammates with him. We'll get to that in a second. But how about Pete the player? I know you had a long relationship with him before we worked together here at Fox.
Kevin, this is, Poppy texted me right away when the news hit last week. And this was very tough because Pete was very good to me. And I learned so much about Pete Rose. But you look at Steve Jobs, what he meant to computers is what Pete Rose meant to baseball. And I'm just talking about in between the lines. You had millions of kids trying to hit like him, slide like him, emulate. He was like the perfect baseball player. And not the most talent, but the biggest heart. And Poppy, I remember having many, many conversations, sometimes 90 minutes, about hitting a baseball, about approach, about not giving a bats away. And I'll never forget, he said, Alex, my favorite day in baseball is opening day and a doubleheader because I get to get 10 at-bats to do what I do.
Absolutely. I know the relationship between the two of you. I barely got to know Pete, but I got to tell you, he was a good deliverer. I was sitting down with my dad watching a documentary about him during that one All-Star game when he knocked out his compadre. And the message was, the longest you play this game, you got to go 110 miles an hour in it. You got to give everything you have. You got to be the best competitor that you can be out there. So the people that are paying to come and watch you play, they go home thinking that their ticket was worth it. And that was the message that Pete Rose delivered.
I tell you, I didn't know Pete that well. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Charlie Hustle. I mean, he played hard. Like Tom mentioned, he played brutally hard. But there's a couple of things. If you ever remember, anytime somebody got 3,000 hits, Pete would always come out and say, well, the first 3,000 are easy. Right? Yeah. And then I got a chance to, I was playing it at a celebrity softball game at Yogi Berra's museum, and I was an honorary first base coach, and Pete was playing in it. And Pete got a hit, and he rounded first base, and he came back, and he tells me, just another lousy hit.
I mean, that is perfect because I can totally see him saying that, right? That is beautiful. Look, we did spend 2 seasons here at Fox with Pete. He kept us on our toes. I could promise you that. You just never knew what was going to come out of his mouth next. Let's watch.
I'm going to die as the hit king. Once I'm gone, I really don't give a damn if someone beats my record, okay?
Pete, show me how you would face the Mets pitchers. Show me the stance.
And I just hit that ball right to left field.
Charlie Hustle.
Just run my ass.
We have a problem. What's wrong? You can't finish.
Better as far as what's more conducive to pitching, but I don't think this is an issue. But we saw it with Kershaw. Bullet. I'm going to probably stretch that a little bit.
Pete, you were trending on Twitter. Let's take a look at this photo. You'll enjoy it. What? Let's take a look at
But Cincinnati's the second best zoo.
How do they rate that?
I'll tell you why, because Marge Shaw, when she died, she gave the zoo $75 million. She didn't give me a dime. But she gave them $75 million. So I gave A-Rod, just gives that money away like it's nothing. I'm so sorry I did that.
We just started a Pete Rose TV channel, just a camera on him 24/7. Gonna make $1 gazillion. Pete, you in?
That's a smart man right there.
We have a new segment tonight. It's a segment we like to call Don't Bet on It. And what it is
Wonder who that was named after.
I don't know. I have no idea.
They just have it going. They feel like a world championship team.
I'm glad you got to go in there. I'm not allowed in the clubhouse. I'm allowed in the bar, but I'm not allowed in the clubhouse. I got to go back to L.A. Alex won't let me get on his G5. Can you get me on the Dodger charter?
I love the optics of Zobrist and Kyle Schwartzberg.
We got a new player in the lineup somewhere? Who's Schwartzberg?
Oh, laugh this hard. Are we on TV?
Look at it. It's pouring right now. So we got lucky.
It's a great night if you're a duck. I was a chicken.
Let us see. This is game one. All of our notes are gone.
Oh, we're dead. We're dead.
Welcome to the Windy City, baby. Yes.
We're in some trouble now.
Go home. Can we go home now?
Feel like a man. Something about a that will velvet man. That will velvet man.
Man, those are some fun times. D-Train Dontrell Willis joins us now. Train, we all work with Pete together. What do you remember most?
You know what? The shock value and the love and the passion that he had for his fellow sport. You know, I put him in the area of the Ric Flairs and the Charles Barkleys, where you never knew what they were going to say on air, but they were going to stand on business when they said it. And when you talk about this, the essence of baseball, he had that expectation even when he was watching and breaking down baseball. He expected guys to play hard, not take days off and what have you. And so I love every time I was on there, we would have a meeting and then we get out there and I had this shock value and I would turn white because some of the lines he had was the legendary one-liners, but nevertheless, he was very good to me. He was fun-loving and we will definitely miss him.
Yeah, and Kevin, you know this. He's one of the most confident human beings on the planet. And he would tell a story about how he would push Mike Schmidt and he would tell Mike Schmidt, if I had that talent, I would never be nervous. But and there's a million stories, but one that stands out was Pete Rose Jr. playing in the minor leagues, and he's struggling. And he phones Dad, and he goes, Dad, I need your advice. I've been really, really struggling. And he said, what's up, son? He goes, I'm 0 for 21. Can you help me? He goes, well, why the hell are you calling me? I've never been 0 for 21. Call Dave Conception. But that was Pete.
And that's so true. And by the way, as a host, I know shock value because I'm like, oh, take it easy, Pete. But I'll give you one of my favorites. This is from off the air, right? This was 2016. We're in Chicago for their run, the pennant to the World Series. We're basically in Chicago for weeks. And we had our set out by Murph's out there beyond center field. And so we would drive, we had one of the ex-Chicago PD driving us in. And then for the World Series, they got the security a little tighter. They had barricades. So we pull on up that day, and I was in the back seat, and Pete was in the front with Nick, who was driving us. And the officers there said, excuse me, sir, do you have any credentials? And Pete he goes, phase. I'm like, oh, my God, it's Pete Rose. You guys can go. I'll never forget Pete. He was one of one, unique. Pete Rose, one of the true legends of the game and a friend we will dearly miss. Rest in Pete. Pete Rose, the hit king, always.